Happy Monday. Welcome back to Retake the Week. It's been another somewhat busy, somewhat quiet 7 days. We had some Counter-Strike played, some things to watch, some things to review, but we also had some dregs of roster mania. Nothing tier 1 as far as the Counter-Strike played, of course. That break still goes on for, I think, at least another couple weeks. But we did have, as we said, XSC Pro League to go through and still some roster changes and some things like that to examine. We did get some questions in from the members. So we're going to be answering those, addressing some of those points. We've got to thank those members as well for making this show available on audio-only platforms, for supporting me and the channel and all the things I am able to do. And of course, members get access to special content like the King's Court, the BTS segments, which we just completed, and we answered some of the sort of sillier, lighter questions and some of the questions that are more like, less Counter-Strike related, I guess. Talk about food and things like that, which will explain why in the scrolling topics it does denigrate Quack's food choices. We also have, of course, the full VODs for any other live streams that are not Retake the Week, because if I ever do those, they are available for members. And yeah, they also have the Contributor Podcast. A new episode of that came up about a week ago, maybe more. So become a member if you want to support the channel and get access to bonus content. Let's dive right into, by the way, the opening question of this show, Quack, because it's very important. It speaks to the dynamics that we have. What makes this show so magical? What makes this show so wonderful? After 3 episodes in a row breaking 3K, which is the first time we've ever had that kind of viewership for consecutive weeks, we do have to address the dynamic sort of magic that we have. I mean, some people call it chemistry, some people call it lust, desire, yearning. I don't know. But Btrams has answered this question. Btrams, the analyst slash statistician, superb, supreme, involved on broadcasts and on Twitter, making fancy little graphics and everything else. He has asked us, what's the best and worst part of working with your co-host? And Quack, because you haven't said a word yet and it's been 2 minutes, I'll let you lead off with your answer. What's the best and worst part of working with me?
Yes, thank you, Btrams, for the question. Also, soon to be a podcast guest, I think. He posted something about that.
Yeah, he's going to be, I'm not sure if he's a guest or he's hosting that thing, but yeah, he's doing something.
He's doing something. It was Thorin, Nero, and Luz Raposa. So that's nice. What is the best and worst thing? Best and worst thing. I think over time, you and I have started bouncing off each other in a pretty nice way, which I think mostly comes from anticipating. Because we kind of know roughly what we're gonna say each time, but that just comes with time. But it's a nice, it's a way sometimes a joke can like accelerate, and like it just does the Mario bounce wall to wall when we're like bouncing off each other. That I think is honestly the most fun part of the show for me. And the worst part of working with you is
I know it's tough. It is tough. I mean, I am pretty great.
I'm having a hard time choosing between a lot of them, to be honest. I think a lot of the time, okay, an actual serious one is I think sometimes you run on a little bit too long on some topics, but that might sometimes some topics I feel like I end it off in a super nice way, and then you go, but let's actually go into that. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I had nothing more to say. I said what I said. Like, I want to leave it here.
I've got way more.
Yeah, this is how unscripted this show is. Like, there was a time when I'd usually post like a screenshot of my podcast recording setup, which was like our cam, show notes, and usually the chat. And I'd just post that on Twitter, so you could actually see like what our talking points were going to be. And it's very bare bones. It's just, this one just says Btrams Q. That's all the notes that either of us have for this question. And so that's why it's that's all we need. That's the beauty of this show. But it's no, I would say that's probably it if I'm being serious. You could be nicer to me sometimes.
I am so nice to you. If we were better friends, I'd be so mean to you. Like if we actually liked each other, I'd be such a dick to you. You're lucky you're a complete stranger, because I'm actually quite polite and restrained. But yeah, but for me, the best part is just that you are criminally online. That's not an insult, but it does mean that I don't ever have to pay attention to Twitter. You've seen it. If there was some drama, you know about it. If there was a news story, a leak, you've seen it. It means that I don't have to do the part of the job that I hate, which is like keeping up to date. Instead, I just get told things. I'm like, all right. Yes, that happened. Like, I don't actually have to do any of that work.
Yeah.
That I really appreciate. I appreciate the fact that you fill in a weakness for me, because I don't pay attention to that shit. And the worst part about working with, mate, if you could do any of your prep before we get on a voice call, like at any point, you've got 7 days. 7 days to prepare each show, and you do all of it in the 5 minutes where we start the BTS. It pisses me off. So that's the worst part. You do none of the prep as prep work. You do it as work, live on the go. And it annoys me every time. But yeah. That's the opening question. Yeah, if you want to ask questions in the next Q&A, you have to be a member. So become a member. At the most basic level, you need the lowest level member. And you can ask questions in the Q&A. So yeah, I think it's like £1 or £2 a month to be a question asking member. But yeah, let's get into some real Counter-Strike. So what's some real Counter-Strike play?
This week on the BTS, you can find out the heinous truth about Kingt's nickname, where it comes from.
Oh yeah, that is in the.
Where did it go?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It does involve some really cringe stuff. Not my proudest moment.
I'm glad you've escaped the manosphere since that time.
Who says I have? I'm just in disguise. I'm on the outside, seeding thoughts. That's what I'm doing.
An agent of the manosphere.
I am.
Yeah. That's a nice band name, to be honest. But yeah.
Agent of the Manosphere is a pretty sick
Agent of the Manosphere. It is a pretty sick band name.
But let's talk about some CS. Let's talk about some CS. XSE playoffs, we reviewed the Swiss last week. This week, it's post-playoffs. And of course, the worst thing that could have possibly happened to any person in the history of humanity. Sorry. XSE playoffs concluded with 9Z winning. Like that's apocalyptic. This might
is your
be
national tragedy.
Even more annoying now online. Not them themselves. They're fine. Their fans though might come back with furious anger and call us all 6-letter slurs. Because my word, this can only buoy them up. Now we did predict that if you look at the bracket, they should be at least in the grand final. Probably favored to win, especially once BetBoom lose and you realize, oh crap, yeah, BetBoom are not quite the same team anymore. Like once that clicks after watching them get crushed by FaZe, you're like, yeah, damn, okay, this is 9Z's event to lose. And they made it quite obvious that they were still a step above this Paravision side who are freshly assembled and don't look, I don't think, ready yet. They don't look competitive yet. 9Z, they said in an interview, I can't remember who it was, if it was DGT or someone else, said that they're not quite tier 1 yet. They want to be, but they're not quite there yet. So I think is honestly astute. Like, no, they're not tier 1 yet, but they're right there. They're knocking on the door. And this was a great display of that. They took out Alliance in the semi-final 2-1, only lost one map, and it was an overtime. That's not the end of the world. Took the grand final 3-0. Like, there was nothing Paravision could offer. And Paravision, I think it's a bit of deja vu, right? If you are the 3 Paravision fans in the world, you probably looked at that and thought, ooh, do we still have a firepower problem? Like, can we still not shoot with the best of them consistently? Like, there's probably some concern there. But yeah, let's talk about it. 9Z, take a trophy. How significant do you think this specific trophy is? Like, for their sort of future? Does it reinforce ideas rather than create new ones? Like, where are you with this title win, Quirk?
I'm sure it means a lot. I'm sure it's a very meaningful point in all of their careers. Who also peak, especially, as far as I know, the first Chilean player to win an MVP award, which is an achievement in itself. There are not many of his ilk in professional Counter-Strike, but somebody had to be the first. I think it's also nice that somebody other than Luchov was able to step up to the plate and actually provide. I think maybe what it reinforces the most is that all 5 of these players can have hands. Maybe not Max usually, but DG
there's another exception here that I was going to get to, but yeah, there's shooters here. Like it is more, as you said, more than Luchov.
Yeah, at this point, like 4 out of 5 have shown really good stuff at various points. on 9Z, off 9Z. And Huasu was like the last guy that I think I was looking at, and a lot of people were looking at, and it's like, he is just not quite that guy. But yeah, it's a very nice win for them to get in terms of where it puts them as a team as well. They shoot up to number 6, I think it was, in the VRS, and that's a very nice cushion to have for basically the rest of the year.
Yeah.
More or less guarantees a Singapore major, guarantees they get invites to every single tier 1 event for the entire fall season, pretty much. And that's just a very nice cushion for them to have and to work with. Like, competitively speaking, mentally speaking, I think it is. They would see it as a stepping stone, because I think they're not kidding themselves to say that, like, as much as this is licensed as a tier 1 event, as much as this is called a tier 1 event here and there, as much as this has an HLTV MVP award attached to it, as much as 2 teams attending were in major playoffs and a third one probably should have been, as much as all that is true, I think they realize that this is a similar win to when Tai Lu won that Fisher event last year. I think they realize that this is a stepping stone. It's somewhere. There's a lot more to go, and that's what they said what Huasu said in his interview as well.
Yeah, no, the VRS of it all is huge. Like, that's when you said that they're up to 6th, I'm like, oh crap, yeah, that is the season setup. Like them or not, love them or hate them, you're going to see 9Z at the rest of the events this year. Like, that they choose to attend. Like, obviously, it's going to be some stuff overlapping. They'll have to make some choices. So be careful with your opinions out there, unless you can deal stoically with an endless waterfall of abuse. You're going to have to tread carefully. Like, I show Speed wearing the wrong jersey. Expect slurs. Apparently, that's just how it works down there. So no, this is a significant victory for them. Yes, tier 1, it feels weird to call it a tier 1 event. When you look at the lineups and, like, the best teams coming into this, it's like BetBoomer 10th in VRS. That's the pinnacle of the event. Obviously, it's not tier 1. Like, we're aware of it. Like, when we talk about this event, we'll talk about it as tier 1.5. Tier 2 isn't even that much of a stretch. Like, this is a lower level event. It is during technically what we consider the player break. I guess for them, it's like the events there, winning it does have huge ramifications. We should try and go for it. And yeah, it's worked out massively. As an org, from like a VRS management perspective, like, you've nailed this. This does mean that for the next 6 months, your logo is at every single event. Your players in jerseys are at every single event. You've nailed that from an organizational standpoint. Like, you've sent your players to an event that they should have really not attended as far as getting rest and recuperation, but at least you've got something out of it. So credit to 9Z and all levels. Everyone else who attended, I think most people gained points. The exception being Luminosity, but we'll get to mocking them in a minute, I think. I'm sure we did enough of it last week. But it is an event that's just like, yeah, it shows again, VRS has its problem of, like, everyone attended, everyone gained points. It's like, man, just showing up to these fucking lands, no matter what you do, does something for you.
Yeah, at this one, that was definitely the case, because at this one we've also just had, as much as it was a pretty short break, we've had a break, and it was also like these teams, especially, a lot of them had a longer break because a lot of them missed the major or went out earlier the major. So it was still like, I think you had a lot of points decayed. That big injection with these results did more than was expected. But yeah, it's a great position to be in. I can't remember exactly where they sat before, but they were high enough ranked where, yes, they are going to be in Blast Porto as well. They got the final direct invite for that because they were 12th after the major. So we are like, as long as they want to accept everything they want to accept, they're going to be at. So we're going to see them at the next Blast Bounty, in the online stage. We're going to see everybody there, and then we're going to see them in the Blast Open Porto, probably Esports World Cup, because there's a fuck ton of teams there. There's the official playground, there's the Star Series, there's like a bunch of these others, ESL Pro League, a bunch of stake events, PGL events, another Blast event, IEM, and then we end up in Singapore, and they're going to be in all of them. And honestly, I'm quite excited about that. I think this team is... I'd be lying if I said this team is like some future great team. I think if I'm going to pick a team out of South America that I think can actually like solidify its position in like the top 10 area, it would be Legacy over 9C. But I still think this is a cool team. Many of these players have a future staying around in tier 1, even if it's not exactly in this constellation. And
You
for
deserve
all
the
of them, this,
slurs. You deserve the slurs. How could you? How fucking could you? Outrageous opinion.
yeah.
Outrageous.
But as much as that is true, this is a nice stepping stone for all of them, all 5 of the players. None of them have ever won a tier 1 event before, but now they have. According to some,
Technically, yeah.
Technically speaking.
No, look, I still think if you're a team with an Argentine AWPer and he's not try, sorry, you're missing a trick. Like, you are missing a trick. I don't think Mayhen's good enough. Like, I just don't. That's one of the big holes in their team, actually, is the fact they still have Mayhen as their AWPer. Not saying that they have to make that change given the trajectory they've been on. It's just that if you're being cynical, that's the place to make an improvement. That's the place to make a change, and it's not exactly subtle. Like, it's not like, oh, he's just a bit below expectation for. Like, they played 3 straight events that are like somewhat impressively sort of tiered in terms of Astana's stake in the major, and bro peaked at 0.62 KPR.
Yeah,
come on, like, you can do better. In fact, that's what he got here in Guangzhou. Like, it's a bit of an issue for them. I think the AWP position could be stronger, and I think it would help in the long run as well. You talk about solidifying themselves in the top 10. You'd say Legacy's got a better chance. Who did Legacy just sign? They just signed Try. And I'm sure they do also have a lot of rifle talent outside of them, but that's a big part of it. It's a real factor. They do lack an AWPer, but man, the riflers are so good. Clearly so good. Luchov, you know, everyone's been singing his praises. DGT's having flashes and, you know, throwbacks sometimes, it feels like, because he used to be quite a productive member of this team. But then specifically Huasopeak, as you said, at this event, first Chilean MVP, showing that, yeah, the hype that there was hype around him years ago, like as one of these emerging South American talents, feels quite real. So yeah, awesome stuff for that.
Like, it was first, it was around Davideus, and he didn't really work out, but well, not yet anyway, and probably won't. And Huasopeak to me looked like more of the same, but I think he's always had aim, but a gazillion players have always had aim. It takes a lot more than that to win an event like this. It takes a lot more than that to be the MVP of an event like this.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Awesome to see it. All right, let's talk about these playoffs. Some teams disappointed. Some teams really disappointed, and I think the most obvious for me, those teams I built up expectations for and then got just rug pulled by, is Btram. They go through 3-0, and you're like, when I talk about them being a rug pull, and you point out like, oh, but like, you could. I'm not saying you actually have, because you haven't said this yet, but like, someone could be like, oh, but it's Siren version's back in, like, it's not the Flammus one that everyone got really excited about. It's like, yeah, but firstly, the version with Siren was still building ahead of steam prior to the whole mess that led to Flammus playing. That specific Flammus Diladez Manoya's constellation of riflers playing. It also is a team that came into this event, didn't miss a beat, you know. Straight 3-0. Sure, they dropped a Mirage to Nemesis, but generally looked pretty good. Manoya's absolutely explosive. Going into playoffs against a FaZe who struggled their way through in the best of threes to come out the Swiss. And sure, have some nice stories behind them, some exciting pieces. Still aren't a surefire guaranteed gonna bang you out. We figured everything out as well. Like, we know who we are, and we've got our system perfectly, like, trained in. I mean, NKJ was saying that they basically had to go, fuck it, let's sign Jaboan when they were looking for their AWPer. Like, it wasn't like he was the guy they'd scouted day one, they started trying to sign him. Like, no. They tested other options. They wanted more established options. So it's not like they've had all this time to perfect a vision. But they got utterly spanked by FaZe, on Cash and on Ancient. It just felt unfair. So Btram for me is one of the biggest letdowns of this event. Like, they were supposed to be in the grand final. Sure, they had the tougher bracket as far as who they faced. There was no Nemesis, no Alliance, no Tai Lu, like none of these teams that I thought were significantly weaker. But still, FaZe are not killers, and the winner of Parivision Big they should expect to beat too. So them losing that quarterfinal for me was shocking and a bit worrying. So, Quay, I don't know what your takeaway is, if anything, from this Btram team. Like, have we overhyped them, or is it just a case of, fuck, get me on holiday?
Yeah, it's quite weak. I was especially disappointed in the comments that Boomich made afterwards, where he's had an interview interview with HLTV, and he said, "I'm just going to find the quote." Well, the headline quote was, "First, we need to make playoffs and gain experience. By the end of next season, we can start putting up a worthy fight," which is almost a bit too sober of a response, I would say. You just got destroyed by FaZe in the quarterfinal by like not a great FaZe side either. And he said it's an acceptable result. I would say that's not exactly inspiring. And I was gonna say the Flamus thing. You're back with Siren. It's not something I would assume makes the team all that much worse, because now you're back to, aside from the op role where you previously had Outfrost, but it looks like they decided to keep Zorti on. And I think it looked like that quite early on, even before the major. It looked like they chose Zorti over Artfrost. Like, despite that, you're back to having a team that you wanted, or it should be the team that you wanted. So how can you accept Thomas? Like, he does mention we didn't have that much practice. We've also had quite a long break. Like, you have also had like 2 or 3 weeks, and travel days to China. I'm sure that's a problem. You had keyloggers installed on your computers when you go to the prac room. But it's just it's weird to say that. Yeah, we just made major quarterfinals. We beat. Who did Betboom beat? No, they beat Falcons. They beat Falcons in the major. They beat Vitality in the event before. They did that with stand-ins and with very little practice. Now that they've had a little bit more practice and they're back to their ordinary lineup, they think it's an acceptable result to go out against FaZe in the quarterfinals, when realistically they maybe should have won the event as well. If you're looking at how their Swiss stage went versus 9Z's Swiss stage, I would maybe even say the BetBoom are favorites. Because BetBoom didn't lose to Alliance and Eyeballers in the Swiss stage. BetBoom went 3-0. So, yeah, like, no, I wouldn't say this is an acceptable result, but maybe, of course, Boomish knows more than I do, but like maybe it looks different on the inside.
Yeah, I took a look at the interview quickly after you brought it up. I don't fully hate what he's saying. It does feel weird, trying to assess what they should or shouldn't be doing. It's just, I agree with the idea that after the Swiss especially, and given the fact that you had so much to go back to, as far as like old habits to lean on, old setups to go back to, like this should be a team that's heavily favored. So yeah, it shouldn't be an acceptable match result specifically, but I get where the idea comes from, that they are essentially back to square one, sort of. Like they did all this work, had all this success with a very different version of the team, and it's going to take a while to get used to it again. But yeah, no, for me it's a disappointment. The other disappointment, honestly, it's weird, but it kind of is FaZe. Like they come in, they're not supposed to win that quarterfinal, and then they make the semi. And at that point, I was sort of excited, and then they lose to Paravision, back-to-back OT maps. Now I get it; it's what he does. It's what James does. He draws water from stone. He's like those. There's always that archetype of chess grandmaster who's known for the end games. Like, this should be a drawn position, yet out of stone comes water. He like finds a way. Almost how James seems. Like, sometimes he just, in the late game, finds a way to just get his players to get that extra round, make the comeback happen again. Like, I think one of the maps they go down like 15-12. The first half of OT, FaZe win straight 3 rounds. And they just need one more to close it. But no, James brings it back, and then they win in the double OT. And I understand that. And it's kind of the aura James built up over the last, honestly, career, his entire career. As soon as he became tier 1 relevant, it's kind of been that. But at the same time, yeah, I need you guys to be closing that. You're Frozen, your twists, like your Jaboan, which seems crazy to say, but Lord, he played so well this event. I was hoping he'd give me something against Paravision, but Paravision completely shut him out. I'm not sure if that was a tactical thing for them. Like, James, I did see a few moments, because I don't watch clips, I had the games open, where Jaboan was like peeking into James, and James just sat there, just expecting it, just waiting for it. Moments where Jaboan looked like a rookie. He looked inexperienced, and he got out-dueled by a guy who just reads the game, understands what he's going to try a second before he does it. And that was, I guess it was sort of, it brought us back to earth on Jabone, because I think a lot of us had rising estimations to a level that maybe weren't yet earned. Still, we had that excitement, and it's like just getting hit with a bucket of cold water. Like, oh, crap. He's still new. He's still young. He's definitely still a rookie, and James is just a level above. But yeah, I still say, even though you can rationalize it, you can, after the fact, give yourself like the hindsight check, be like, oh, I should never have expected FaZe to do well in this game, or had a chance. One map and then 2 OTs is great. I feel like they're going to regret not having won that and not having played a grand final in their debut event and built themselves up ahead of steam that would have been basically unstoppable going into the next season.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, it's kind of Jacob who keeps FaZe in that game as well.
Yeah. Unexpectedly.
Fucking yeah. I'm looking at this. I'm assuming you saw this cool new thing that HLTV have, which is a round swing breakdown on the stats pages. Yeah, I'm looking at these now, and like when FaZe start winning rounds on Dust 2, it's because Jacob denies a clutch when FaZe at a half buy, and then the following round, he does the same. It's basically a 2-on-2 that he wins, with twists, and it's like you, and look at the overview of this map. It's like he's got pretty much only good rounds. He's got one 2v1, which him and J-Bo lose to siuhy, and it was, or Sheyl maybe it was, and that's about it. This is not going to be such a close game if it wasn't for Jacob on both of those 2 maps. So, and that's infuriating because I was really on the train of him having a horrible event. But yeah, combined with J-Bo and also kind of souring his great event that he had otherwise.
Yeah, insane debut event for a guy who's plucked out a big academy, out of nowhere for most people. I mean, we've been talking about him for 6 months, if not more. I don't remember exactly when he popped into our radar, but to see him debut like that, if you were like a Randy FaZe fan, like some random guy, it's just like FaZe picked up who? And everyone's either calling him one of 2 things on Twitter: Jay Boner or Joe Biden. Like, all you know of this guy is fucking memes. Then you look at him on the server, you're like, he fucks. Like, he kind of fucks. Like, you're probably getting pretty excited. And the fact that it ends like that, it probably is a bit souring. But
yeah,
I still think for him, it's still a great takeaway. Like, you take away from that event, still a lot of positivity, don't you? Like, it's about as good a debut as anyone's had as a young AWPer. But what a tragic final series.
Yeah, and it is that in combination with the fact that Jacob actually played well, which is not, honestly, not great, in my opinion. It doesn't sit right with me, because I would have much preferred if Jacob had one of the worst events of all time and J-Bo had one of the best debuts of all time. I would have much preferred that storyline, because it would just be so much more cohesive and much more clear what FaZe should do. But yeah, Perivision still paid by the round with this game and the big game in previously. FaZe, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. I think they exceeded my expectations, to be honest, especially when they ended up in that 2-2 game and were so close to going out against Eyeballers. It is 1 overtime away from being a 2-0 win for Eyeballers. Yeah, to then thrash BetBoom in that way. But I don't know. I didn't have that big expectations for them coming in, so I can't say I'm truly disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed, I guess, once we reach playoffs. But for the overall event, it is just a positive thing. They shouldn't have played this one on debut. I shouldn't now be believing in Swiss IGL, yet I am. Speaking of successes, though, because that is a bit of a success story, who do you think takes the most out of this event that isn't obviously 9Z? Like, who did you watch, or who did you feel like gained the most?
100% Alliance, because this is their first tier 1 event ever. It's the first, I think everybody here except for Upe and Ovid have actually played in such events before, one way or another. Like, Era's played an RMR, Twist has obviously played everything, and Bob XD played a 1 with Eyeballers, but it wasn't in front of a crowd. But it's like this is their first proper tier 1 event. It's their first event with like a crowd as big as they had. It's their first real event with Bob XD. I know that Era was talking in Jönköping when they were there with me, or there at the Journey tournament, and they basically told us that like we were originally not going to play here, but like the team, but also Era in particular, sort of insisted we have to go play Jönköping, this low pressure thing, to like warm bobXD up. But like this was the real debut because they knew that coming into China that's what they needed. And holy shit, bobXD is good. bobXD was really good during the event. He is such a fine player. All of them are such fine players, to be honest. I think all of them showed really good stuff at times in the event. So and the performance they come away with is that the Alliance break into the top 30. In the top 20 even of VRS. And it's not enough where I'm ready to say that the Alliance are definitely going to be in the Singapore Major. But I think if they didn't get this here, the chance would be gone. And they would have had such a big uphill battle to continue on. They still have stuff coming up, like they're still playing Blast Bounty as well. But this basically means that they now have a chance of getting invites to more events in the fall season. And that's very important. Like I think we might see them at Pro League, we might see them at Fisher Playground, we might see them at like these Thunderpick World Championships and stake ranked in these events, and that's important because that's what they're going to need to make the run to the Singapore Major, which is the expectation. That's the expectation of the team, of the fans, and everything. And yeah, semi-final on debut in an event of this scale is nothing but a success.
Yeah, I was just looking through the bobXD sort of swing charts, just out of curiosity, because I'm like, he is a very aggressive sort of opening player.
You expect high highs and low lows. Yeah.
I was expecting to see a bit more like violent fluctuation, but it's just very stable in terms of the swing numbers. Like there's very few like true dud rounds where he just takes a bad death untraded and just everything collapses around him. Like it's a pretty positive sign. Like there's intentionality with how they're playing and how they're using him, and he's also hitting a lot of shots, which was critical to winning that quarterfinal. So no.
Oh yeah, and he was so good there. Jesus, like that ancient map that finished the series was insane. But honestly, I think that might be one of the like slightly not contradicting, but like hard to read parts of round swing and the way bobXD plays is that he is gonna have these wild swing. It's just he has a big plus and a big negative in the same round a lot of the time. Because he ends up like he gives you 60% round swing, but then he also loses 40 when he runs in and dies. Like it's so it just looks pretty stable. But no, they used him well. He played really well. Honestly, for his debut at this stage, and I don't know this about him, but he strikes me as the kind of player who might be slightly affected by the circumstance, might get a little bit nervous when things are going wrong, and at a stage like this as well. And
it certainly looked that way in terms of the opening game they played against Paravision, where they got crushed 13-4. His ratings of 0.41, like it's one map, so whatever. But if that was your narrative, that was your idea of who bobXD was, it would be correct. And he did struggle, I remember, in Jönköping early on. Like the first couple of games I saw from that event, not as far as watched, but just the scoreboards, like he was pretty bad. So, yeah. A great debut for him, great debut for Alliance. I think one of the biggest success stories of the event. Another one, I did say earlier on that if you're a Paravision fan, maybe that grand final worried you. I still think Paravision can take some pretty big wins out of this event, some pretty exciting sort of results. Because what you saw was Jane played pretty well. s1mple had some great maps and great rounds. And then siuhy as well was also a pretty consistent sort of contributor as far as firepower, as far as rounds won. Like he was outputting some numbers. So I think that was sort of the main concern. If you're Paravision and you're a Paravision supporter, watching them cut Nota, cut Belchnox, like can the additions firstly give us some output directly, but also can it set up other players a little more consistently? It felt like both those things were slightly lacking. I think Paravision could be fairly happy with it. Like Hobbit's numbers are not good, but the team overall played pretty well. It got good output out of his way in s1mple in playoffs. Groups, Yellow was there too. All in all, it's a pretty decent just like first viewing of this team. It's not perfect, but making the grand final, we didn't have them doing that as our preview to the playoffs. We said it was possible because they're on the the more competitive side. Almost anyone could come out of it and you wouldn't be that shocked. But still, they're the ones who did it. So I think we have to give them a little credit because these moves look already promising and the results are, again, trending in the right direction.
Yes, Laxages is not horrible. It's not gargantuan. I didn't expect that from him despite his online numbers, but it was a good time. I think he only really had one proper bad game, and it was a best of one against Tyloo, which I clickbaited like hell on Twitter when I said that, posted that screenshot and said maybe he was cheating. But it's I think he silenced quite a few of his critics in this event still, even with the performance. Yeah, I think it is slowly starting to emerge that Xielo is maybe the better of the riflers on this team. Like more and more clear. I feel like every event I see Perivision, Xielo is standing out more than the rest. But yeah, also Hobbit. Hobbit did fine. Hobbit did good. Hobbit had some really good maps where like the stat line looks like he's back on 1 win, which is sort of where we were hyping him up in the early part of the year and last year. Overall, it's not the greatest stat line, but I think he showed good stuff, and I'm sure that his expertise is valuable.
Yeah, it's a good starting point. It's not the be-all end-all, and they will always have terrible stats because they're always in close games, and they always win with like bomb plants and all this other bollocks and all these stupid late rotations and people doing one-off lurks just to hold rotations a little bit longer, you know, that kind of silly empty death that's never going to look good in the stat sheet. But for them, wins them rounds. So for them, it's all about the wins. We did at least see some of that firepower coming through. Like we did have some really fun Slexages rounds. We had some really impressive Xielo moments and some really impressive Zwei moments as well. That's everything you need to see. Well, yeah. Hopefully it holds. Because, yeah, we saw a very bright start to the last iteration of the roster when Zwei's added with Nota. It died a slow, painful death. This hasn't even started as bright as that did, so hopefully this goes in the right direction, not the wrong direction. But yeah, that's kind of going to wrap up XSE for now. There's not too much to elaborate on beyond that point, because it is just a very small event relative to the rest of the season that's going to come. Let's get into a question. This is from Sheyl3319. And they ask, where has it gone? Thoughts on the Fnatic roster going full UA? And the latest iteration specifically, because they went full UA and then also made a change to who the Ukrainians were on the side. So yeah, the current roster, just to make sure we're all on the same page, is Fear, Jambo, Jacasmo, Ken, and then Mazai has been brought in from Spirit Academy. Yeah. So yeah, a bit of a change up for Fnatic, who've gone from one blue and yellow flag to another. Quack. What a betrayal.
Yeah, inevitable after some of the recent moves. It's not a team I hate. I think they've got a nice little thing going with this roster. There are bits of this team that I think can be genuinely good. It's just a little bit meh. And again, we keep being in this situation where I think there's a super good Ukrainian team waiting to happen, but they're spread out across like 4 different orgs. So it's a little bit of a shame, but Mazai is actually interesting. Mazai is the guy Sotfik last year pointed out as the future of Spirit Academy. So I'm sure he's not super keen on the fact that he's been sold. But like, this is the same guy who saw Donk, made him into Donk, who saw Kyosuke and made him into Kyosuke. Now he's seen Mazai. He said, this guy's the future of Spirit Academy. I trust that guy's fucking word when he says that. So that kid's probably pretty damn talented. So it's nice that he's on Fnatic now, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what to make of this team overall, because it is just... Maybe you would say it's the 3 best parts of Passion UA of 2 years ago, plus Karen and Mazai, and that should be really good. But I think maybe that's a little bit of an oversimplification. This team has a long way to go. Yeah.
What
Overall, I like. Overall, I think I'm slightly more positively inclined to it than I was when Crims and Madden were there.
Yeah, no, it's better than that. That's where I'm at as well.
Yeah.
And look, if Mazai is as good as hyped, then this is going to be an awesome team. If Mazai is just a solid kind of opening star rifle, they're still going to be pretty good because they still have Jambo, who's like a very electric player. Chikazmo in roles that suit him better because Chikazmo doesn't really make sense to me as a hard opener. And now with Mazai, he wouldn't be. Ken also doesn't really fit that mold, even if he did do a fair bit of it with the Inner Circle guys when he was on that side. It was more just their play style, that when he was just playing off Davu's shoulder a lot. That was also just a lot of fast pops, so it made him look like more of an opener than he actually is. Naturally, he is more of a lurker, second rotator type of player. So yeah, Mazai's going to get all his spots, and he's played 6 maps already with this team. So no, I don't know if it'll be... Basically, you have to compare them to Inner Circle. Like, will they be better than Inner Circle? And it's like, they have the potential to be. Because they're a bit younger in certain positions than like guys like Captain Kirker, you know. And I don't have much belief in Zero Fix in the long run. So I think they have a couple positions where they're probably better. And a bit younger. But also, there are positions where it's more of a coin flip. Like Davu, I know what I'm getting. Like, I'm already sold on him as a prospect. Mazai, I've not seen enough. So I think this team is actually pretty good. It's probably one of the better Fnatic sides we've seen in a long time, just because the Fnatic sides have lacked identity. They've been in between the old international ideas and the new Ukrainian sort of side. They finally committed to Ukrainian. Make that what you will. It's at least a commitment. And they've signed the right kind of pieces if you're going to build a young, to-be-good type of Ukrainian side. They've signed pieces that have the right sort of age profile and the right kind of abilities. So I don't hate this. I think it's going to be pretty successful in the long run.
Yeah, but then also Inner Circle have just gone and qualified for Blast Porto, winning 2-0 against Magic and Virtus Pro. And before that, they won the Super Draculan thing.
They did. But this is, again, hypothetical because we've just signed Fnatic. They just come together. Like, I'm projecting massively. But, like, I'm talking months and years.
If they compare to them, then that's great for Fnatic.
Yeah, but they immediately play that same level. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll have to see. Fnatic are playing right now. They're playing in... this is Challenger League. VRS Minefield. For some reason, they're playing there. But, yeah, I guess they want reps.
They need the reps, yeah. They 100% need the reps. And they're facing Sparta, and they're taking care of business. So...
Taking care of business.
Every day. Very positive sign. Let's get into more roster mania talk, though. There's been some more confirmed moves, some moves that were just, you know, leaked and rumored, but we didn't actually have the full lowdown. Some things got confirmed very quickly. But yeah, let's get into it. It's time for some roster mania chat. And as those 2 Mongolians on your screen will show, there's going to be a certain theme to this. By the way, Q&A members, if you asked a Q&A question and it's covered by us just talking about topics on the show, we're just going to address it as a topic on the show. So be warned, we've skipped a couple like sub questions. Some of you asking 4 questions at once, just because it's in the show notes anyway.
Somebody did ask 4 questions. You were like, somebody actually asked 4 questions. I'm grumpy about that. And then I looked at it and I was like, 2 of them are literally just stuff you've already put on the sheet. Like, this is 2 questions. And I think one of them we answered in the BTS as well.
We did. Still.
Yeah.
Y'all are getting cheeky. I opened the door. It's my fault. It's the slippery slope.
Give me more. Give me more. I'll answer them. I'll make my own.
I let people ask 2 questions, and now we've got people asking 4. It's gone too far.
If
this is
more,
the marijuana to heroin thing, like all over again. They warned me about this in school.
If you ask more, I'll do a BBTS on my TikTok. I will answer all of these questions.
Anyway, let's start with Mongolz. Just because this is the easiest one to address. They lost Mzinho. We'll talk about where he's gone in a minute. And they've also benched Cobra Zero, which I didn't see coming. Just because, why would they? Like, I'm not saying he was the greatest player ever, but you know, he had a couple good events. They barely started playing. I don't see what the need was. But anyway, they've signed Tikwak, who was on their academy, and then they let go to some other teams, and now I assume had to buy him back, which is always funny when academies do that. Like, let a good player go, then the main team's like, hold on, we needed him. And so he's back in a Mongolz jersey. Tikwak, love saying his name. Pretty interesting, pretty exciting talent. And then Darkmeister, who is a former Academy player who I've never watched play. He's got 6 HLTV maps, so, you know, there's not a whole lot to go off anyway if you did want to go watch demos and gather some data on him. But yeah, there's not a lot to work off. Just mostly the excitement, if there is any to be had about this roster, comes from Tikwak's performances with Chinggis Warriors and with the Academy. He's looked sharp. He's looked like a pretty interesting piece. Mongols go for a bit of a Hail Mary, I guess. And it does signal some things about them, doesn't it? Like this feels like it's telling us more than just a Counter-Strike story.
I think so. I think they're in a... Replacing Mzinho, I think, might be a tough spot to be in. And I would imagine that they had some sort of buyback clause on Tikwak, or maybe it was a loan. Like, this is the kind of thing that sometimes doesn't get fully disclosed.
Yeah.
Especially when we're talking about regions that don't really use Twitter. I have found out, surprisingly popular social media in Mongolia, Facebook. So that's where a lot of this shit happens, apparently. But yeah, Cobra Zera, you're right, he wasn't the greatest player ever. He was a 102. I think maybe they looked at that and they said, if we're waiting for Senzu 2.0, then they must have felt that, like, it's not it. Just try out Tikwak, because Tikwak has been so good for the Academy, so good for... Was it Chinggis Warriors or the Huns where he went to? It was Chinggis Warriors. Yeah. He's been so good there. He's been so good in the Academy, and it's just, you know, you look at his numbers, it's pretty obvious he's probably one of the better players. He probably was the best player playing in the region at that point, as in Mongolia. But yeah, that becomes pretty clear, and then you might as well take a chance on somebody else. Why they've picked up Darkmeister, I honestly, I don't know. He's very much a little bit of a nobody, and that's fine. Most of the Mongols players were nobodies. I can trust the vision in a sense, but I do feel like we peak at the Austin Major Final, and then they win another event at Esports World Cup. I guess this is the peak, this sort of summer period. And then Senzu leaves. And they make do with Controllers. It was fine. And then they sign Cobra Zera, and there's excitement. It didn't really work out. And, like, very slowly, they're walking down these very long steps that are just gradually making them slightly worse. And they've crucially missed out on... well, this was pretty crazy. They missed out on Blast Porto because all of the top 12 teams accepted the invite. And they were 12 spots. So they missed out on that event where all of the other top 12 teams are going to be, and they're just going to run away from Mongols at that point. And with the qualified teams from below, who might have a risk of passing them. So they're slowly drifting away. And, like, Tikwak and Darkmeister are not the players I would expect to hit the ground running immediately and start winning, which might be what they need. Long term, I still think this could be a very good team. But I think we are past... Maybe before this, I would even say that we are within touching distance of Mongols being a top 5 team. Like, we were one good big event away from Mongols being considered close to, if not inside the top 5 again, for, like, most of the spring season. Let's say if they made a grand final in one of these IEM events, we probably would look at Mongols and say this team is still close to, if not a top 5 side in the world. But they didn't. And with this move, I think we are beyond that. Unfortunately, I don't see this working out in a way where they get back up there quickly. So I think they'll hang around. They'll hang around the 20 mark. We'll see them at the major. Probably the best team in the region still. But although, as I say that, they're definitely within touching distance now of, like, Tyloo. So I don't even know about that, to be honest. Yeah, I'm optimistic in the sense that I think any good player out of the Mongolian region can become a good player in the world, like on a world stage, when they play with Blitz and Mara. Can. Not all of them do, but can.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic in that sense. But I'm not optimistic about Mongols being back to their previous greatness.
Yeah, I think they're far from that. And yeah.
Getting further away.
Tikwak has to be, like, the best possible version of what he could be this team to return to that sort of relevance. And the problem is, it's like, oh, he's probably the best player in the region right now. And you look at the numbers, the profiling, and you think about what he brings to the table, like, oh, it's sick. And then you're like, it's exactly what fucking Cobra Zero looked like. Bar for bar. Beat for beat. It's the exact same man. Well, boy. But you always have to just
3 years younger. Yeah.
He's 3 years younger. So take a gamble on that. Like the fact that he probably has a better chance of developing into something more. And the Darkmeister one, like, this is just the signing of like Mzinho or Cobra of Techno all over again. It's like, oh, he's young, he's a bit sharp. He's from their academy, so they know him. Instead, it used to be the LAN Cafe, now it's the academy. They're going to craft him into something, and he's going to play the role serviceably. He's probably going to be crispy. Some hipster on HLTV or Twitter is going to be like, he's the best aimer on the Mongolz, actually. I'm so different. Look at me, I'm a thinker. And everyone should tell him to fuck off. That'll happen within 2 months, I guarantee it. But no, it does feel like they're a far cry from what they used to be. And this is 9-10 and then potential. It's 9-10 and potential.
Yeah.
Which isn't
9-10, and Techno did it once and got an MVP, and Blitz did it in tier 2, and you know what? Roll the dice. That's what we have.
Yeah.
And Mara pulling the strings and all of it. And that's why I feel like this is maybe a top 20, top 30 side. Fine. But I think we are back to regular scheduled programming in terms of what Asian CS historically has usually been. There's one or two good teams that challenge around that range, 20 to 30, make a playoff appearance, excite when we go to the Asian region for big events. They're the kind of ones that you then look back and was like, MVP PK, we're so good in this one event, and or whatever it might be. And they're so good is that they won a game, and like maybe we're back to that. And it's unfortunate to say because I think these players are good. But yeah, it's just, yeah.
One thing that people who are like, oh, we're back to the old Asian scene thing, like kind of miss is that we're back to these teams specifically being at a specific level because some mega talented players are now playing on top international sides. Like this isn't the same Asian scene. Like the Asian scene actually has players being exported into the rest of the scene, which is actually very different. And I think it's a market improvement. So shout out Senzu and Mzinho for actually bringing up the level of Asian CS to a point where Mongolian teams, for example, couldn't afford to keep them, is my theory still. I know we don't actually know exactly what's going on everywhere with this move, but to me it still feels like the bread just isn't there. And therefore the players, when they get the offer, just take it. Like, they just take it.
There's a different component to that also. Because fuck it, they're out of order. But do you mind if we hop into that? Because it's very, very connected.
Yeah, we can go to bcgame. I don't know why our topics are all over like this. In the
bcgame have obviously signed Mzinho. And I'm eating my own shit because I thought that they were never going to be able to keep Senzu, let alone sign Magisk and Mzinho. But I will say, I don't think I was way out of line saying that because this is unprecedented in at least in the VRS era. I don't think anybody has ever made a move from such a high ranked side with so much uncertainty because they're going to a team that have 0 ranking, 0 invites, like 0 nothing, only based on probably a big bag. And the other thing is that Senzu, per Mzinho, Senzu did a lot of convincing to bring him over. Senzu was like a big lobbyist, and Mzinho and Senzu have been like good friends since they were like 12. There's this clip that goes viral every now and again, and it's gone viral now as well, obviously, now they're playing together again. But it's Senzu and Mzinho. For whatever reason, they are like, I wouldn't even say it's a boot camp, but I think it might be a boot camp or something, or maybe they're just hanging out. Where like they are like whatever they would be. Mzinho's 12 and Senzu's 14 or whatever they're
the same age.
What? Senzu and Mzinho?
They're both 19, dude.
Jesus. I remember when Mzinho signed on, he was still only 15. And I thought Senzu was 21. But honestly, yeah, he's 19. Crazy. Anyway. But basically, like, they're obviously like children, and I remember that Mzinho was in a Mazalai jersey. If you remember that team,
Yeah, funnily enough, I've
yeah,
noticed enough of that region's CS. Yes, I
it's
do. That is
yes.
the logo. Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw that video, and I saw that it said Hasteka on the back. I was like, I know exactly when this video is recorded now, because Hasteka was on the team for a month. So, but yeah, he's obviously just a big fan. But like no. So with all that, there's a lot of history. I'm assuming there's a big bag, but to be honest, I don't think Mongols were exactly underpaying their squad. I'm sure they couldn't quite keep up with like the Vitalities and G2s of the world. But you know what? As much as it probably is a factor, I don't think it's as big of a factor as it may be made out to be, because I think Senzu is the big thing. Senzu being there, it probably is the big thing why he's moved over here, and that's what he said as well. He did a lot of heavy lifting. He did a lot of convincing. He begged him to come pretty much, and that can do a lot. So yeah, here we are. Mzinho's in bcgame. They're in a very tricky spot. Because they have no invites. As much as I was originally like, oh yeah, but Senzu, now that Senzu's back, they have 3 from the old lineup, so they have a rank. No, they never won a game, and they only played 4 games. They still need to play like an open qualifier or an open LAN or something like that. And the moment they win a game, they'll have a rank.
They've already announced they're playing things. They're playing Eliza, and they're playing some other qualifiers. They'll have a VRS very quickly. How quickly they can rise? I mean, we've seen it. They can rise super quickly. Like, playing the right lands, playing the right events, they can catapult themselves up the VRS rankings. So I don't think it's that big a risk for Mzinho to go to this team as far as the VRS implications. Because again, he's not ditching the #1 team in the world. He's ditching a team that's stagnant around maybe 10th to 12th, that shows not too much potential for growth and for going up to the next level. And he's offered a team with veterans he's heard of and has watched and probably respected and enjoyed, and been a fan of for going on 10 years if he's been interested in CS that long. He gets to play with a friend, and come on, if the Mongols were paying players well relative to Mongolian money and Mongolian standards of living and pay, let's say they're playing like, let's say 10x the median monthly income gross. That's less than $3,000 a month. That's 10x median. There's a good chance that they've been offered $20,000 a month. The money talks fucking volumes here. Like, this isn't an insignificant amount of money. This is, relative to country of origin, insane amounts of money. They will warp the fucking financial statistics for their neighborhood when they walk back home for Christmas with this bag under one arm, and honestly in a suitcase behind them as well. Like, this is a very, very significant amount of money we're talking about. I've given Mongols the credit there that they were paying 10x the median monthly income to these guys. If it's lower, then of course it's even stupider. But yeah, this is a team that I think will rise relatively quickly. I think they'll get a VRS and go up to like top 30 in the space of about a month, maybe 2 of active
Honestly,
play.
The thing is, I still think come the end of the year, Mongols will be ranked higher.
Yes, but will Mongols be significantly higher? Significantly higher. Not just they will be higher because Mongols are still 12th and these guys just cracked 19th. Or do you believe there will be significant differences?
This team should not crack 19th.
Why not?
Because maybe the difference isn't significant numerically, because Mongols will be at 16 and bcgame will be at 28. But 28 doesn't get you tier 1 invites, 16 does. And the schedule is so compact. At this point, we're basically...
I don't think they're going to tap out as 28 this year. That's the difference.
No, but let me just say, it doesn't really matter. Maybe they're 22nd. It's still, like, the schedule is so tightly packed that the major invites... We have 4 major TOs at the moment. Big Star Ladder are, like, schedule-wise, they're back. They're doing events. The stake events are, like, decently big. That's the kind of thing bcgame are going to have to play. Then Mongols are going to be actually playing, like, the Blast events, PGL events, IM events, the Star Series events, these events. And we're going to have this big separation where bcgame, they're basically going to have to start winning these tier 1.5 lands, where you have Heroic, probably Gamer Legion, probably NIP. They're going to have to start winning lands against these teams consistently to make it past Mongolz, who are not winning, but attending Blast events, PGL events, ESL events. And like, they don't do that in a season. They might not do it in 2 seasons. They might. I honestly think that there's enough question marks on this team, like similar to what there's enough question. I have enough question marks on this team, but I might say they might not do it at all. And this is literally you and me about 100 Thieves, but swapped. Because 100 Thieves were in exactly the same position. Where are 100 Thieves? Nowhere near. They're playing their first tier 1 event, and it's online because they're playing Blast Bounty. Very unlikely to make the LAN portion.
Here's the difference between me and you, Quirk. Because technically, yes, I'm talking about an unranked team. Now, I'm not talking about a team who have created a hybrid monstrosity work of fiction all from one position, taken 6 risks and ended up with 1 or 2 hitting. We are talking about a team that already was playing with certain groups of these players, had already played, were playing. Some of them were playing actual tier 1 CS prior to having to go on this sort of circuitous route back up to the top. So I have a lot of tape on this team. So I'm willing to make a bet with you. I bet this team overtakes Mongolz by the end of this season.
I just don't think they do, to be honest.
Yeah, so I'm betting with you. I bet.
Yeah,
what do you want to put on the line?
What do you
want to put on the line?
I'm taking. What do I want to put on the line?
I've got an offer for you.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
If they don't by the end of the season, I will send you a Mongolz jersey. If they do, you send me a BC Game jersey.
Do you even buy BC Game jerseys?
Probably. If not, get one printed. Make one up. Put the words BC Game in Comic Sans and s1mple's face on a fucking t-shirt and send it over to me. We'll figure something out. But in any case,
merch coming soon. So provided they deliver, it's going to be possible. Yeah. Honestly, I'd take that bet. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I bet you they overtake them.
I'm just looking at the schedule and it's like the last invites for tier 1 events that happen in 2026, aside from the major, which is a pretty late cutoff in November. All of them are fit. Like the entire fall season is decided by the start of October, except for the Singapore major. But with the fact that the entire fall season is decided by that, it's going to be very difficult to break into that if you're not already in. So this is why you have, what's the name? Knud Jesper, the Danish guy, who's also a VRS guy, not Mischief. Before the Cologne major even finished, he was already saying, by like a 95% margin, the top 14 European spots for the Singapore major are locked in. It's like, wow, all right. You're able to have that big of a projection. That's how hard it is to break in, because he thinks there's like I don't know what the percentage was, but let's say it was like a 5% likelihood that more than 2 teams break into that range. I don't think BC Game are going to be one of them. And I think they're going to have to be if they're going to overtake Mongolz, because Mongolz are going to be at the major.
I don't think they have to. I think they'll overtake them, because Mongolz it's not about will they make the major. It's about where in overall VRS will they be. And I think BC Game.
Can I also mention there are 6 events coming up that use August 3rd as the invite date. 0 use September, and then 2 more use October.
That's cool.
BC Game are not going to have a rank by August 3rd. They missed out on 6 invites there. I just don't think it happens, and Mongolz are going to stay afloat.
Yeah, hence
That's
the
what
bet.
I think.
Right.
Yeah, hence the bet.
Heroic. You've asked.
What do you think in the chat? In the chat or the comments? What do you think? We have to engagement bit. Who do you back here?
We'll put up a poll. Screw it. We don't do polls very often. Yeah. Usually the only poll in our chat is Btrams, as far as I'm aware. But let's get it on. BC Game versus Mongolz season VRS bet. There we go. Iconic. BC Game Mongolz. I've stuck that in chat. It's very clear. I don't see what you could misunderstand about the way I phrased that. But yeah, let's get into it. Heroic. You've put this in the chat. Did you put this in the notes like this, or did I? Heroic now good? Question mark.
You put that.
Probably. That makes sense. That's something I would put. Now, Heroic have added Brolan, which risky. They've added a Swede. But they've also added Martinez from a far more established Counter-Strike nation, Spain. It's a weird situation, because they've been a weird team with their Alcaran, can't get the visa thing, into Young Stars and Orpa. They've just been in flux, I feel like, for an entire season. So, are they good now? If this is their settled roster going forward, I mean, the way I phrased it a week ago is like the excuses are gone. Like we talked about this a week ago. The excuses are just gone. You have everything in place. In theory, all the pieces are good. What is there to miss out on? Like, I think this heroic team should have the ambition to break into the top 10. Like, there is no sort of umming and ahhing about it. This team should be pretty damn good. And if they're not, we have to start thinking about, is Nilo actually that legendary a prospect? Is Crizzen going to work out as a rifler? Like as a, sorry, not a rifler, as an IGL? Like, we have to start asking questions about it, because we've been excited and been, living off the promise of potential for these guys, and then giving them the excuse endlessly for the fact that they don't really make that many runs and don't get that many big wins or wins at all. Just, the situation's awkward, everything's up in the air, I don't know. We don't seriously examine them, seriously assess them, and seriously critique them. So, Quack, I want to hear your take on it fully. Like, do you think Heroic now will be good? And then if they're not, who do you think will end up being on the chopping board? Kneeling by the guillotine. Who will it be?
Susp there were question marks around Susp before last season even finished. I think they were never in a position where they could remove him. It was always going to have to be Alkeren, so Youngstar gets replaced, because Youngstar did a good enough job in a tough situation, but he just wasn't the opper, and Alkeren was pretty crap and couldn't play. So they had to do that, and then I think their hand was kind of forced by the fact that Foot bought Xfloud from them. So that's the two moves. You can't make any more moves. So I think in a different situation where Xfloud wasn't moving, or where they were happy with Alkeren and he could play and everything, Susp would be the one to get cut in this shuffle. Because he hasn't been all that great, to be honest, for Heroic. We know he can be. I think all of us agree that we've seen a Susp on previous teams that should be good enough to hang on Heroic. And, well, if he can't do it now, then if he can't do it this season, I don't think he ever can, to be honest. That's the pressure I'm putting on him now. But aside from that, zero excuses. Because Nilo, I think, honestly, no matter what, if he keeps going like he's going, he is good enough. I'd sooner put question marks on Crizzen or one of the new additions, to be honest, or Susp, obviously. But the thing is, I think, okay, so Brollan comes into good spots for the first time since when he initially joined Mouse as the Frozen replacement. And even then, I think he was slightly deprioritized in that team, obviously coming into a very a group of players that I think is very close knit. Probably maybe he wasn't the kind of guy to say, I want all the best spots. So, Brollan, finally in good spots, should be top priority player next to Nilo on this team. Martinez, honestly, the no excuses thing goes for both Brollan and Martinez as well, because now Martinez, he's international. He's finally made, this is his first English-speaking team. He's out of these sort of regionalized teams where they were Spanish and they were South American, and he was on a Spanish team again. He's out of this now. Like before, it was always Martinez is good, but he plays in this region. Now it's Martinez is, well, in the best case, it's going to be Martinez is good. Period. Because now he can actually compete. On paper, I think this is a Heroic team that is very good. I mean, on paper, if you tell me that I'm getting my best Nilo, my best Brollan, my best Martinez, the Crizzen that we were sort of promised as a caller, and a Susp that can bring up the rear, if that's what we're getting, this is a top 10 side. Will all of those hit? No, I'm not sure, because we'll have to see. But I think this is Heroic going back into the top 20, to be honest, for this year. And I have just talked about how difficult it is going to be to break into the major. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that, because they have fallen quite far. They're 36th in the world, which is honestly quite grim of a spot to be in for Heroic. Some distance up there to those major spots, but I mean, one good performance and suddenly the ball is rolling. So we'll have to see. They're in a much better position than some of the other teams. I think they can do it. They can definitely do it. And they can do a lot in fall season. So we'll see what they do. On paper, I think this is them back in the top 20.
So is that are you locking in if anyone...
I'll say back in the top 20.
No, at the end of the season, if It's not really been as productive, as successful as you expect. Susp is either the one you expect to be the first on the chopping block, or is there someone else you're a bit concerned about coming into the season?
Oh, coming into the season, I'm only concerned about Susp. I obviously think that Brolan, it's been a while since he had good positions. We're talking 2020, because he didn't even really have it on NIP, did he? But like, let's say 2022 when he was on NIP, pretty much, or like Mouse. But that was a pretty brief period. So I'll say one of those two. And and I can see those gambles, and like, how is Martinez going to work out? We don't really know. This is a little bit of a step up for him. But if I'm going off of what I saw last season, Susp is the next guy, I would say. But it could be Kristen. Could be Kristen. Like, if we're sat there at the end of the year and we're looking at why have this team gotten better when they have stars performing, but they're still losing games, then it's obviously Kristen. But yeah, I think it is going to be Susp who are my question mark.
Okay. Well, it remains to be seen, but yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty set. Like, they should be competitive. They should be good. Quick, you've put something in the chat, in the sort of notes that I don't really understand. So you'll have to talk me through this one. Blast from the past. Who killed Sheyl3319? What the fuck are you talking about?
This is a very brief thing, but Jimpat went on a podcast in Finland 2 or 3 or 4 days ago with Robu and what's his name, Natu, old Finnish guy.
Yeah.
Talked over a bunch of things. The main thing that got quoted everywhere was when he talked about how Shuey got cut from the team, and he since clarified. I didn't think his clarification said much, but basically the gist of what he says is last bounty happens at the start of 2025, and they go out when they lose to BetBoom in one of the online games. Supposedly, after that game, Shuey and another player on the roster had a big argument, a big fight, that he describes as going on until the next day, and a day after that, he was benched. And he since clarified that like there was talk of changing the IGL even before that, even before the Shanghai Major finished, or like after it finished, and like everybody knew it was possible. But he also mentioned that in the podcast that he had personally been promised by Mouse that there wasn't going to be an IGL change, and he felt a little bit betrayed when there eventually was one. So he didn't mention who it was. It was one of the players on Mouse who had an argument with Shuey. And I assume it wasn't Jimpat, because it would be weird if he talked about himself in third person like that. I think if it was him, he just wouldn't even mention it. So, Kingt, who do you think killed Shuey on Mouse?
Zertian.
Really?
I don't see anyone else. In considering who on this team is beyond, it seems like, proper reproach, and who has an opinion, it's Zertian. Like, they completely fucking obliterated their own roster this year after they stopped making top fours, just to give Zertian leadership reins and a bunch of toys to play with to go bait and get a bunch of kills. Like, how is this not Zertian? Like, if it's not Zertian, then it's Torji? Because it's I don't feel like it's Jimmy.
Or Brolan.
I don't feel like it's Brolan. Like, Brolan
Neither.
doesn't have a face for fighting. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah. They were at home. It wasn't
if I have to make
fight.
a bunch of, like... No, I don't mean swinging fists. I mean, like, arguing and argumentativeness, and especially, like, fiery, heated temperament. Just going to make some fucking wild stereotyping here. I don't meet a lot of Swedes who get into a fucking, like, proper fight with you. Like, I've met a lot of Swedes. Pissed off a lot of Swedes as well, because I'm not Germanic in my ridiculous law-abiding silentness. Like, fucking... Basically, in the UK, me and my friends are autistic and quiet. In Sweden, we were jock, Chad, fucking outgoing. It was so weird. It was quite disturbing for the first 3 times I went. So, Swedes are not fighting like that.
Swedes but what about when you were in Tel Aviv?
There's the problem. Hot countries with the heat, bring out this argumentativeness, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like if there's going to be anyone, it's got to be. We got to go south. We got to go south. Like geography matters here. Geography
Right?
matters.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Swedes don't haggle at the market. All right. They just don't.
Yeah. All right. No, I get it. Yeah.
Some
Probably
other
was.
people
Probably
do,
right.
and I feel like that's informing my decision because I have nothing to base it on otherwise. But just based on how the team reacted to completely collapsing this year, and given the fact that I am pretty good at stereotyping, I just have to give it to Xertion. I just have to. It's Xertion, Torji, somewhere down beneath the desk, Brolan Jimmy, and then other mystery options somehow. Somehow it wasn't even a player. He was arguing
Spinks
with
from
management.
left field, yeah.
Or Spinks just was chiming in on their Discord because he was
Spinks
there for some
joins
reason.
TeamSpeak, yeah.
Because no, I just don't see it being someone else. Like I just don't see it being someone else. So no, it feels obvious to say it, but it has to be Xertion. Surely it's Xertion. It can't be anyone else.
I tried to look up Xertion's first interview after Sheyl left. And like the headline is, I feel like he has the balls of a leader in some way already when he talked about Brolan. And so there's somebody in the comments who said, "Is this a quiet shot at Sheyl? Like, ooh, this has been brewing." This is the. I hope we get more stuff on this because this is some of the juiciest drama that I think we've had in Tier 1 proper. Or it has potential to be. If we get all of the mouse players to speak on this, this is going to be juicy. This is going to be old school drama. Yeah. That's I just wanted to put that in because it's old roster mania. It's roster mania from over a year ago. But yeah, I think you might be right. It might be Xertion, especially considering he's now taking the caller role.
Exactly. There's always those little things you can follow back, right? Like
yeah,
this does feel like especially he gobbles up the resources the second he takes over IGL, gives himself everything, and when they have this breakup with some big bitter argument, sus.
Yep.
What do people argue about? Like, oh, you should have called B when we were going A. Like, no. It's give me the fights I fucking want, you twat. Like, that's the sort of arguments teams have.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. That has been the main bulk of roster mania. Yeah. We obviously have our regular scheduled programming later.
Yes, let's get into some hardcore Q&A stuff. We've got a lot of questions from members. If you want to ask Q&A questions and be addressed and treated like a person, become a member. It's not that expensive, or it can be if you choose a higher tier. This question's from Liara8771. And the question is, what are your thoughts on the new bomb update? I don't have too much to say. I've only played like a couple maps of fucking like Cache since it came out. So in terms of how it feels as a player, it's mostly completely inoffensive, does nothing until the bomb goes off, at which point my aim gets thrown like across half my fucking screen, my ears are fucking ringing and bleeding, and the screen's shaking, which kind of annoys me. Like, it's pretty innocuous until the bomb goes off, at which point I'm just fucking annoyed. So, yeah, I mean, I like the volumetric stuff. Like, that's just cool. That makes sense. I mean, it feels like we're playing a game in 2026, because physics somewhat matter. It's not just the bomb's a circle. Fucking get out the way. But, yeah, it's mostly inoffensive, mostly good until the bomb explodes.
Yeah. I think I only disliked it because it did seem the volumetric stuff. I'm not sure. I haven't actually checked on all maps exactly how it's baked in, but I felt it was a little bit inconsistent when I played.
There's a problem with like certain things don't count as blocking whilst other things do. Like a small shipping container on the cache site, for example, doesn't do anything to dampen explosions. But once you get into a proper corridor and the game like treats it as a corridor, it does work, and I think it's pretty cool.
I think the problem I had was when I played Cache and it was good. I played because you can go into Sunroom, into Toxic next to B site and survive an explosion from there. I'm pretty sure. And that's not far at all. That's like you could throw a Molotov on the bomb if they defuse. That's the kind of distance that we're talking about. And then I played on Nuke and Mirage, And I can't remember if it was Nuke where I felt it was weird that I couldn't save on like outside or something. It was somewhere on Nuke I remember I ran into and I was like, I'm behind 2 concrete walls at this point. I should be able to save. When on Cash I was behind sheet metal. And then it was on Mirage, or maybe it was on Mirage where like the same thing is like thick stone walls. Why am I dying here? So I think maybe let's do a slight recalculation, but I don't know. That's nitpicking. That's the kind of stuff you'll learn because maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I like it. I think it's nice. The volumetric stuff. I actually like the new animations as well. It's gonna take some getting used to because like you get like an extra second now after the bomb explodes before it actually explodes. And you know, I like to when I save, I like to use that to my advantage where like I'll shift around until the bomb explodes and then I'll start running. It's like the bomb explosion is gonna cover the steps most likely. And I mistimed that a couple of times and that was a bit of annoying. But yeah, it's all in all I like it. I think it's nice. It's a lot more because you can. It's a lot more visual as well now, which I think is just nice in general. One thing I did like, generally speaking, on most maps, you can no longer save in a spot where you can see the bomb exploding, which I actually really like. You basically can't save in pit on Dust 2 if you plant on A. I think if you go down to like the far end of pit, you'll still take like 95 damage, and that I like. But if you go around the wall, then you're good. But it's just slightly easier for this. It's a slightly CT-sided update in that way.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's not that game changing. It's just for me the one annoyance, like you mentioned, the volumetric inconsistencies. I can feel that would get annoying for me, having my screen shake and my crosshair move. Annoying. They're really annoying. Like, please turn that off. I do not like that. That is too realistic for my definitely not realistic shooting game. So yeah, that's my one complaint. ChipsOn1709 has the next question, and this one is... Where's my posts hiding? There they are. Right. Beside the obvious answer, Karrigan to Falcons, what would you say has been the best and worst roster move from the first half of 2026, both in Tier 1 and outside of it? Quack, what springs to mind, best and worst?
Best and worst. I'm ready to call Luminosity's new team the worst signing overall already, to be honest.
Okay, from the last season though, but yeah.
Well, they made it during the last season. They signed Lux during the last season. Honestly, maybe that's it. If I take, because the real problem I have is Lux alone. Because the problem is, I understand that your hands were tied when you eventually did sign the Monty core, because you already had a caller. You couldn't pick up Gizmi even if you wanted to. The problem is, why did you sign a caller so early on if you knew getting a core was still on the table? If that was still part of the plan, if there was still a chance that you were going to buy a ready VRS ranked core. Why did you pick up a caller? Because there's very few teams in the world, at least available to an org like Luminosity at this moment, where I would want to pick up a core without picking up the caller. Monty's not one of them. It's like if you picked up Foot, yeah, it would be nice to have Demon and Jugs, but like how good are they going to be if you put them with Lux? Or like if I'm picking up Bait, okay, maybe Bait to be honest. Maybe Bait I could see because Alex is good, but I wouldn't say special. But basically, like, there's very few teams if I'm going down the list. I just feel it's stupid to pick up Lux that early. And that's a move from last season, so I think that's going to be my worst. Because it doesn't really matter if it was the Monty core they ended up with. Best move... I mean, Kerrigan's the obvious one.
Yeah.
I mean... I think it's going to be Art to Legacy for my money, to be honest. Pound for pound, I think that is the best one because it's a relatively low value move that they make mid-season, which is challenging, contracts and everything, and they get better pretty much immediately and win an event off the back of it.
Okay, yeah, no, and pretty good pick. Worst, I mean, I said it wouldn't work and they'd need to make more changes, and it was stupid. So 100 Thieves, obviously. Something in amongst the group because you can pick, like they made 6 signings, you know, you can take your pick. Glaive, Coach, Rain IGL, just pick the leadership duo. Probably not the fucking right move at all, and they've kind of admitted it themselves. I think that's a pretty shocking one considering where they were. Like they could have done, if they'd just not fucked that up, they could have done better. They could have finished higher. They could have qualified for the major, maybe. Otherwise, you know what? Best. It's not gone perfectly, and they've had some of the moves they've made are temporary and things like that. TDK done an incredible job of pulling together like pretty random pieces almost into a very solid team. Like originally it was Zorte, Sugar, Xanta, Axal, and Nafany. They've been playing with Artfrost, I believe, since Zorte went to BetBoom or back to BetBoom or got recalled to BetBoom. I think it's Artfrost. Yeah, it's Artfrost. They've been winning events. They're top 40 in VRS. Awesome job. TDK as far as the roster assembly. I'm not sure who actually did the moves, like who's the person running this.
Nafany. It's Orgless.
It's Orgless, but Groove's a
Nafany
coach, so maybe it's Groove making the calls, or maybe it's...
Yeah.
But yeah, whoever's assembling that team has done a pretty insane job of getting valuable pieces, but also making it all work. So I think that's to give them a lot of credit. Like that's a pretty nuts, sort of year for them, given the difficulty of making that sort of thing run. But yeah, I think Art to Legacy is a great pick. The rest of it, like if Passion had stuck together and not kind of fallen short right at the end, it could have talked about some of the moves they made, but that was a whole mess. Another thing as far as what could end up being the best eventually is Sizzy to Bait. Because he's started showing promise towards the end. And then worst, you could also say Segukawa to Bait. They promoted their academy kid just to get him shat on and then dropped again for a different team's academy kid. Like that was a crazy roster saga. A couple good choices there. But yeah, I do think Art is a pretty obvious one.
Yeah. Male 9 to Alliance, but that was also, I think Art to Legacy, I think beats it because that also exceeded expectations, like way beyond. Like Legacy went from being the third or so best Brazilian team to being like excluding Furia in the first place to being probably the best out of that group behind Furia and winning an event, beating Falcons in an event, the eventual major champions, like a month away from the major final. And all it took was one player change. So yeah. Good question.
Yeah, our next question's from Bonkia5895. And it's after this roster mania, which of the teams outside of the top 10 do you think is the most likely to enter the top 10 or get close to the top 10, depending on where they're ranked right now? So I think the idea is to talk about teams who've made a change again, but I think just to generally address the rosters right now who are showing potential, I think is more interesting. It does help that we've just had an event that's buoyed up a bunch of teams right up close. So now, if you want to talk about FaZe being top 10, they're already 16th in overall VRS. But no, I don't know. Especially not in terms of teams who've just made a change. It's tough because some teams I want NIP to make top 10, but it's just the more I like the roster, the more it makes sense, the less likely it seems, apparently. Which apparently, all right, fuck me, I guess. So I don't know. If Liquid make all the changes promised, and Jorko is as good as I hope he is, Liquid might be a crazy deep pull, but they could make it. Like if we're talking JT comes in for Shuhei, Jorko comes in for Ultimate, that roster all of a sudden gets catapulted up. And I think that's probably one of the more interesting and deeper picks for a team to make top 10.
Yeah, it's a very deep pick. I think the obvious pick is a little bit of a sneak because at the moment they're outside of the VRS top 10. And they have made a change. Foot. But I think you and I probably would put them top 10 already, like in our own rankings. Because I'm not sure I would put BetBoom over them. And the new Aurora, I'm not sure I would put over them either. 9Z I might put over Foot at the moment. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't put 9Z over them.
Legacy I would, though. Legacy I would. So, but that still makes them 10.
And Legacy's a conversation. So, yeah. No, it's a valid pick.
Foot with X-Cloud is nice and probably will be top 10 and will sustain it. And I'll say...
surprisingly slightly better, just to throw this out here. Lanix did his job, right? Wasn't anything special. Like, as far as, like, the openings position and, like, his output in gun rounds, like, he wasn't that insane. He was just good.
Yeah.
Not that far from average. Like, it's It's a bit overblown how good he was, and I think he's found that out in the transfer market. So,
yeah, and some of the stuff that he's been saying on stream now about food is, I know some people consider him to be a bit of a cunt, and a lot of those comments seem a little bit cunty, not in the slay way. And I'll keep backing this horse. I think MIBR have improved over the offseason. And I could see MIBR nipping into the top 10, to be honest, with NQZ over Klim.
I think that takes the most retarded thing anyone said all day. So, perfect place to
They're 15th. They're 15th. They're 15th.
That's crazy.
It's not that many teams they have to beat.
That's crazy, though. I don't think they've gotten significantly better. They've already debuted, mind you. And
no, I think they've got better. They were already pretty good.
I don't think they've got better. Like, not significantly. I don't see NQZ as a net clear upgrade to Klim. Like, I just don't see it. So yeah, maybe call me a Klim like believer, but I don't think NQZ is going to magically make this team god tier to the point they need to be to make that gap. Like, he's just not going to have that level of impact.
Yep. Right. Fair.
Yeah. Our next question.
But I think no, never mind.
Next question comes from GapeGiver. Loving the rebrand, by the way, bro. Really rings every time we talk about it. Which player do you think was the most underrated in the previous season?
Previous season.
Yeah.
I've gone immediately to a guy who everybody's gonna say is pure bias. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Twist, to be honest.
Because no one's watching Twist.
No, that's the point. That's the point.
That's not people sleeping. Sleeping on him is like, oh, he's there in front of your eyes. You're sleeping on it, man. He's going to be great. No one's watching Alliance. Who the fuck's watching Tier 2 CS, man? Like, that's just... You're talking about the wrong thing here.
No, but I see people going, Twist? Seriously? He's 31, dude. But then, like, watch him play. He has the clutches. The calls are good. Natural captain. Like, so natural in the caller role. It's insane. And... underrated. But if I have to pick somebody else, I'll keep looking for one while you pick one. But he's just the guy I went to instantly, because every time I mention Twist, and I'm like, I think Twist is doing such a good job, and then because he is, evidently, and then everybody will always say, no, he's kind of mid, mate. You're not watching. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know who you're having these conversations with, but keep it up. You're winning the battle of the shower, I'm sure. A guy who I picked out as well, like one of my surprise picks. Like, I'm just talking through some options here. During my top 20 was Sway towards the bottom end of the top 20. Look, if he wasn't playing on Parry Vision, everyone would have him way higher. I genuinely think people would have him way higher. It's just they play a boring, ugly style of CS, so no one watches him. A lot of their results at the end of the season were pretty mid, but he had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight green events at top events whilst being a somewhat supportive piece. Sway is massively underrated. I guess I don't know. I still want to say certain other players are underrated. Like, I think Wonderful is still slightly underrated. I've seen so much slander. Now at the end of the season, people have now gone back and they've decided that Wonderful's actually shit again. I think that, like, so there's a consensus that's brewing that I feel underrates him. Then you know what? My boy Imma, hard done by. I don't know why. Everyone hates Imma. Not believe me? No? Okay. Quack, have you got a pick that's more tier 1 that people will have actually watched?
See, at the start of the year, I know that this is more that they've very much exceeded where we rated them at the start of the year, so it doesn't really count. Magic's as the Caller of Spirit, I think, has exceeded our expectations on the show, but I don't think anybody underrates him now. I think everybody's pretty fair on him, maybe slightly overrates him after
he has, I think,
tomato sauce play.
It's kind of the other way around. It's a bit overrated.
Yeah. But like for us, I think we did underrate him at the start of the year.
I'm still yet to fully believe he's a better caller than Chopper, in which case I still think the entire fucking change was stupid, but that's whatever. I'm still yet to see that he's better than Chopper.
This is like the recent couple of games and the Q Super Draculent performance did really put this down. take this down a peg, and the way the major went, to be honest, in general. For bits of the year, I think Hypex has been somewhat underrated because he's very quietly gotten slightly more tidy. Like from being yet another shit Gamer Legion opera to actually being half decent for parts of the year. But the end of the season kind of did put him down a little bit.
Yeah, no, I don't hate the pick, actually. I don't hate the pick.
Yeah.
Hypex was, for me, one of the big, like, well, the parts of Game Legion that needed to step up for it to make sense again. And he did have that big block in the middle of the year where he was playing pretty damn well. No, I think maybe the hard part to judge with Hypex, because no one talks about Gamer Legion, is what is the consensus on Hypex? Like, how good does the community believe Hypex is? They probably, I don't know. I'd hope for him to not be underrated, they'd have to believe he's the best Game Legion opera we've seen in a long time. That probably is the consensus. It kind of, I feel like it has to be, surely, because all the forums do is read HLTV ratings, so surely they do.
Yeah, beyond that, I'm not sure I can make a pick. I think Towson is pretty fairly rated. Everybody knows the value Towson brings, and sure, the absolute plebeians won't see it, but the absolute plebeians won't see shit. Rez is pretty fairly rated. I think, honestly, at least in my circles, it seems people are doing all right. People are doing all right when it comes to rating players. I guess Zelix, he gets a bad rep for being on a bad team for 2 events or whatever it was.
He's played 3 events. He played 1 okay, 2 pretty bad, and I know why. It's because he's being asked to do what Xerxen does, while Xerxen does what he does.
Yeah.
Which is a part of my frustration with Mouse.
Yeah.
It's because they promote Zelix, then don't give him any of his fucking natural spots, positions. None of the style he likes to play is present. So it's kind of fucking atrocious to watch. So no, Hypex might get and one in a similar vein was like the team might underrate this player, and probably the way things were going earlier in the year for them. But I think Mongolz MD is going to become underrated if he's not already underrated.
We'll see. For me, that all depends on how Liquid shake out, because that's if Liquid keep fucking farting around in like around the 40 mark, then nah. It does honestly, unless mobs start breaking 120s every other day, but it's gonna have to depend on how the fall season looks for them. I can't pick one. Like big players, no, not really. Tai Lu players, no. Astralis players, no. Like maybe Fuzi, because I think he's been slightly better than some people make him out to be, but it's still.
I don't know. It's
I can
tough
also see the weaknesses
right now. Like
I
the weakness has been on
display.
Well. He's been inconsistent a bit. He's had some pretty atrocious series. I'd say he's just shown on Astralis like flashes, glimpses, but he's also been hyper streaky, and that's been a concern for them. So I don't think it's fair to say that, because the average paints him quite a pretty light, like a 1.08. Like damn, okay.
Yeah. The problem is all the players that come to mind that I might say previously in the season that they were slightly underrated is that they finished the season pretty well, so now everybody maybe overrates them. Because I'm starting to think about like Tenier, but like everybody was pretty hype on Tenier during the major because he actually stepped up, and like when Halley left, he actually stepped up and he actually started playing well, and so now he might actually be overrated. So yeah, no, I think this is like no, but like talent wise, he's very good. He's obviously very good. He's just underperforming a little bit, but. I think that's where I'll land. Maybe Hypex and honestly Twist.
Okay. Next question, final question, added as we were live to the Q&A list, so I chucked it in. It's from Fragzor1337. Do you remember any young prospect or a young prospect like 3 years ago that you believed would make it to the very top teams and completely fell short of my expectations? Now, we're not going to include a certain someone in this list because if it's not talent that lets you down, I don't really think it answers this question. Like a player.
Yeah, I pulled up his HLTV profile immediately.
I know where you went with that giggle. I was like, yeah, I know who he's thinking of. But no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna instead focus on things that were like the player's abilities let them down. Like they didn't develop mechanically or didn't get the understanding of the game at the highest level to the same extent that I hoped. I think Fame is my choice for that. Like I thought he'd still be a mainstay of tier 1 CIS play. Like the fact that his career went from K27 to major MVP, to tier 3 again. Disappointing. The fact that he wasn't, for example, in the sort of Paravision chatter for this latest offseason. It's not surprising based on the fact that I've lived through the last 3 years. But if you told me 3 years ago there was a team looking for slightly undervalued... Yeah, he wasn't MVP. I don't know why I called him MVP. But he won a major. More importantly, the fact that, yeah, he's not in that sort of zone at all. Like, he's not even in the conversations for, like, the third best Russian-speaking side right now. It's a bit weird. Be a bit of a shock to me. And I understand kind of what's gone wrong. It's just based on how things had gone 3 years ago, I'd have expected him to be a mainstay. So yeah, that's one of the obvious ones.
Yeah.
Currently, it's looking like fucking Nota, but I'm not done yet. He's too young.
Did you think I pulled up Boros or Joel? Because I realized it could have been both.
I assumed Boros, but yeah, Joel technically counts, but I thought he was too far gone from your memory. Boros is a more recent bottom out.
Yeah. I've looked up some players now from that 2022, 2023 sort of time, and who I'd forgotten about. And I think I've picked up on maybe 3 when I'm looking over this list that I genuinely thought were going to be a bigger thing and hasn't really worked out. I was pretty big on Lake around that time. Around 22, 23, when we were starting to, or 24 even, when mobs, became part of G2, and then Lake sort of showed up on the scene at the same time in these events, kind of handed it to G2 in a couple of those events, and sort of carried the mobs flame in a way. So I was pretty on board with that. There was another one which was Result. Like round about end of 2023, or maybe 2024, but honestly throughout, he was playing so well while matching roles quite well with some players who were moving about anyway. I remember that at some point, I definitely linked him with like the Spinks spot on Vitality, like not fully seriously because he was still like on Forza or whatever. But I was genuinely like, the role matches here. He's grossly outperforming the positions, and at least per Nero's thing, and it's like worth a shot. Try to go for it. And he hasn't really worked out. He's just sort of stayed at that Forza layer, and he's still there because he's on Nemesis now. And I think at this point, he is absolutely a player that could have been on Perivision, absolutely a player that could have been on BetBoom. And he just isn't, and that's a shame. Could have been on Spirit even. Like, there is a universe where Result is a Spirit player, maybe over Zontix or maybe over Tenia or something like that. And Spirit would probably be better for it, to be honest.
Yeah, I've just been reminding of 2 players. One by chat, which was Zyphon, who still, for the longest time, probably still is to this day, if you go through the entire list of Danish players, the best aimer in Denmark. Like, he was at one point like the best pure aimer in Denmark. And he still puts up good numbers. Like, he's on Sashi currently. They brought him back after realizing he's the only one who could shoot, averaging a 114 for the last 3 months. The numbers are still there. He's still only 22. The other one who I think there's something beyond just his play that limits his chances in better teams. In terms of the projects he gets offered and versus not offered. Reiko did not seem bad. I think there's something behind the scenes I don't know about him that stops his career progression where it stopped,
Yeah.
It's not just that he chose to be on Revenant in 2024. Like, the fact that he has to choose to be on Revenant probably is a part of the problem. There's probably something there. Because I've seen this guy play on a variety of teams, Polish, non-Polish, put up great numbers, have a fantastic eye test as well, and have some great LAN maps. And then somehow he never amounts to anything, never gets even a tier 1.5 kind of team. I think there's something more to that one. So, yeah, those are probably 2 of the big ones. But again, they feel like, when I think about it, it's off the server stuff.
Yeah.
Zyphon, I know, has a rep for off the server stuff. So maybe there is more that to factor in than really the mechanical ability.
Yeah. I think Result's probably my main one, to be honest, because he was a sure thing in my mind for a long time. But yeah.
Okay, that wraps up the Q&A. It's now time for a segment that has experienced new life. Yet, Quack managed to get it wrong for 2 weeks by not doing his fucking job. It is time, of course, for Cock of the Week.
Yeah. Like, there have been further entries into this category that have become honorable mentions during the course of this show. Here's one. MIBR Academy player with an unfortunate clip in a professional game earlier today. I'll just send it to you, and I won't describe what happens in the clip.
Ooh, let me see.
There's Soulfly posted a...
oh god, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, Soulfly posted an edit of genuinely Adolf Hitler, where it said, "The sun will rise again and we will try again," on his Instagram story, which is, welcome back, Chris J.
Firstly, as a Turk, boys, you need to be careful. Not everyone's read up on their 20th century history. I have. Yeah. You motherfuckers are on thin fucking ice. So you can't be making Hitler references, intentional or otherwise.
Yeah, see, if I saw this image, like if I wasn't looking and I was trigger happy on the repost button, maybe I wouldn't catch the outline of that
silhouette. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
hang on. There's
into
more.
My mind.
Yeah, but there's more because it came from this account. I would spot this account. Sheyl Edits.
Sheyl Edits.
Yeah.
Sorry, the silhouette.
Yeah.
The name of the account. Like, how do you fuck that up, bro?
Yep. So, Soulfly, get ready to learn Chinese. Welcome back, Chris J. But yeah, and then also CSGO Roll, eternally a clowning account on Twitter, to be honest. Because all they do is post fake news items. They are the ones that will post shit like, what are they called? A24, the movie studio. A24 reportedly in pre-production for a Counter-Strike movie. Set to release in 2027, and they only mention that online is on Twitter, but they still get 2,000 likes because of it, because people don't
hold on, just to touch on it. Sorry, I saw the clip you sent me of the CS Unfortunate events. What the fuck?
Yeah, and I won't elaborate.
Do not elaborate. Fellas, view at your own discretion. It's only 5 seconds, but 5 seconds is too long.
It's the top clip if you search for Stormzin, which is his name. He's the IGL for MIBR Academy. You can look him up. Search for that on Twitter, and it's the top clip. And then CSGO World, the thing that they did was they called AM Gaming one of the biggest disappointments in recent Tier 2 history. Because they didn't realize, what the team was, because they thought it was some big money project. And also they said they never won a single event and scrapped the whole project after 16 months, which they didn't. They sold it. Like, they have they have signed for an org. But yeah, the real one is actually bcgame, not because of any roster move related thing, but because their official Discord server, they stopped paying for the 3rd tier boost for the Discord server, which allows you to have a custom domain for the Discord server, which I assume was something like discord.gg/bcgame or something like that. They stopped paying for it, which meant that it expired, and they went back to having randomly jumbled letters as their invite links for the Discord server. What has then happened is some malicious actor has set up their own Discord server and paid for that custom domain that they previously had, set up a bot which automatically puts a verification string into your command prompt when you join, which injects malware on your computer. And by extension, bcgame are responsible for this because they should have sanitized that shit and removed their links to that custom domain, because people are going to their link tree, finding their custom link, trying to join their server, and they end up having malware injected into their computer. And that sucks. And who knows for how long that's been going on. But yeah. It's apparently been active for a month, according to this person. So yeah, that's a Cock of the Week moment. So sorry if you're a s1mple fan and you had your skin stolen.
Yeah. That'd be a damn shame.
But there you have, like, you have some virtual Bukake this week, which I think makes up for the recent weeks.
Not really how it works, unfortunately. Cock of the week is more of a we need it once a week type of deal. It's like food. I can't not eat for 6 months, then eat 12 pizzas that were promised.
Cock of the week is like food for Kingt.
It is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
It's a staple of my show. That for some reason has not been provided by the person who's contractually obliged to. So yeah, it is a pretty shocking situation. Thankfully, we've
for legal
started
reasons,
the
I'd
road
like
to recovery.
For legal reasons, I'd like to make clear I'm not contractually obligated to bring you cock. I would like to clarify that.
You are.
No, that would be illegal.
You are contractually obliged to bring me cock. That is actually legally the case.
All right.
But no, we're finally back on track, everyone. We can rejoice now. The cock is back.
Yeah. Yep. Several of them even. Yeah. That's
you only get credit for one though. Anyway, next, let's get into the Retake Games. Yes, it's been full week, and we're back to playing some silly games to amuse ourselves. And we're going to spin the wheel. We're going to get a random KPR, and then we're going to draft teams to try and get to that KPR exactly. So let's get the wheel. Click to spin.
No filters, no category, just player year.
Just the classic one, the player for that year.
Nice.
We got 0.7 flat.
0.7 flat.
Yeah.
All right.
Do I have a...
You know I want to go second, and I want a snake.
Yes. You want to go second. You want a snake. Hi, snake. Let me see. 0.7 flat. I'm going to take... To open things up. Let's do some stupid stuff. Let's go. Donk. 2025. That's my opener.
Damn. Yeah.
So yeah, we need an opener, a closer, an IGL, an AWP, and a fill rifle. I'm gonna go donk.
Yeah, this is
25.
This is the quacky gambit. Very much so. 0.7 KPR, quite high. It's not astronomical.
No.
There's a bunch of players who have had this. Let's see if I can narrow down on a category that I would know. Let me have... I'll start a little bit on the upper end. Let me have 2023. No. Yes, 2023. 2023 Joel as my closer.
Okay. 2023 Joel. Yeah. Right.
And then I need one more. And I'll take... Let's try to go back in time. 20... Fuck it, let's just do it. 2013 JW. That's where I'll go for my opera.
2013 JW. That's wild.
I think I'm on the upper end, so I'll have to... Yeah.
Right, I know what I'm targeting on my next two players. I'm targeting 0.6 for both my IGL and my fill. Those, I think, the two roles I should go for. So 0.6 KPR IGL could be a lot of options. I'm going to take Carrigan 22. 2022. As my fill rifle, give me... I think I should be in the 0.6s somewhere. Ooh. Can I get juicy with it? Yeah, I'm going to get... It's still going to be a good player. Perfecto 2021.
Pretty good. Yeah,
I've picked him before. Good player as well.
Let me try to get 2026 Ovid as my opener, which is where he's played when they played with Melo 9. And if I want like a... I think I want to go for a 2016 Crims as my fill.
2016 Crims, okay.
Which is quality, by the way.
Yeah. Not bad, not bad. Right, I need some... I need 0.7 and 0.7. And the problem is on an AWPer, a 0.7 KPR is pretty difficult to find exactly. So especially because some of the guys you think, oh, historically, like, because I want to go back in time for this. I don't want to do a modern pick here. I've three players I picked all after 2020. So I want to go back. But like, you think of a guy like JDM, the problem is we've got no filters. So NA play counts. Probably farm the fuck out of NA. So it's going to be difficult to find an AWPer who's got the exact right 0.7. With that being said, I do think it can be done. 0.7 KPR AWPer. Such an average AWPer. Oh no, I'm not going to know the right year. Screw it, I'm going to try it. Smooya 2017.
Ooh. Do you know that was the Renegades time? I think when he was on Big and then he was on Renegades and then he was on Big again.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. Like maybe he managed to average a 0.7 across that period between the easy Renegades games and the difficult Big games. Like, feel like maybe it averaged out to that point. And then my closer, because I've got 2 picks here. Right? I need another 0.7 flat. So give me 2019. Oh, that might be a bit high. No, I can't go there. 2018 Zipex. Don't know about that one. But yeah, 2018 Zipex.
He made top 20 that year. Yeah.
Yeah, but so did the entire team, and some of them for no good reason. So I'm hoping he's one of them.
There's a big risk. I honestly have no idea which territory I'm stepping into now. Let me think. Do I actually want to go there? I think I want to go there. 2012 exist.
2012 exist. That's a big number. That's over 0.7.
I'm not sure.
I'm telling you it is.
That's my roster. That's my roster. I said what I said.
Yeah, so we're going to start totting these up. I've already started with Donk, which was too high. I estimated he'd be closer to 0.9 than he actually is. Yeah, okay. I was right on 2018 Zipex. He is sub 0.7, but not too far. Where's my Karrigan pick going to land me? Hopefully not in a world of shite. Hopefully he's a bot, but not too botty. Oh, he's pretty botty in 2022. 0.56. That's 0.04 lower than I wanted. Smooya, come on.
I think I've way overestimated every single player on my team. Or underestimated them, rather.
Big Rattus, 2017.
Oh, hang on.
The Rat King himself. Jesus Christ, he farmed noobs. Oh, I got the wrong year. Damn it. This was M Point. He was in UKCS.
Oh no.
Yeah. He's got a 0.82. No. I'm stuffed. That's the wrong year. No, was 2018 the best year? 2018 was still too high. Damn. Yeah, he still played a lot 2018 on UK teams. Right, I've stuffed myself. Perfecto needs to be so criminally low. Perfecto, you need to be an absolute bot, please. He's 0.6 flat. I nailed it. Damn it. Damn it. I absolutely nailed the Perfecto pick, and that's a problem.
Right.
All right, I'm going to start totting these up. Quick, please tell me you're high on this. Very high.
I am quite high. I can tell you all players but one were above the mark. Btrams was the one below in 2016. Only 0.66, which I thought was interesting, but actually helped me out a little bit. My closest pick was Ovid at 0.71. Okay. And what has royally screwed me is the fact that Exist was ridiculously good in 2012.
I told you.
0.85. So my average comes out to a 0.744.
744. Damn. Yeah, so I was slightly helped by Karrigan being below the mark, and I was thankfully correct that Perfecto was not a particularly heavy fragging player. So I came out to 0.718. So I beat you by quite the margin there. You maybe go back to your old over-under sort of strategy.
Yeah, I tried to have a theme for this one, but yeah.
Not great.
No, it's so hard because I went to IGLs and I was like, well, Exist was probably the third best player on NIP in 2012. Probably around about there. That's probably going to be good. Maybe a little bit below 0.7, but the thing is, they were just that good. So yeah. And what I didn't consider is also he only played 64 maps in it, because maybe if the 1.6 maps, or if he played Source maybe in the year prior, maybe if those counted, then it would have been different. But they don't. So yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? The Smooya, if I'd got 2019 Smooya, I think I'd have been absolutely perfect. That was the year I needed, was 2019. That's when he was big, Renegade's big. I'd got the year completely wrong. Yeah, because he's 0.74, so I would have been pretty much dead on if that had been the pick I'd made. Oh well.
Yeah.
That's still a win. Let's zoom through the Eternal Shuffle. Quack, there are moves. You've got to give them to me, and I will do my best to grade them. Let's begin.
After benching Legacy and trying to sign Insani and Tomasin, benching Nissim, sorry. Legacy, I've brought him back. He's been Chris Jade minus Chris J plus Chris J. And they've also signed Try as their opper, as previously reported. I can't remember if we talked about this, but now the move is final. It's basically the same Legacy as we had before, but with an op upgrade. Give it a grade. Go.
A+. Like, how can it not be? Like, the only problem you could have, I guess, bring down to an A is the fact that you benched a guy and brought him back. Like, for the mental, bit weird. Otherwise, yeah, easy grade. Like, there was nothing to improve other than the AWPer on this side. So, there we are.
Yeah, I mean, a Tomasin or an Insani would be insane firepower, but there's just no way you make that work without turning Dumao into a shit player. So
it just doesn't make sense.
No. Good move. Male09 is moved to the active roster on Medisport. Confirms previous reporting that Male09 was going to be playing. So he takes Isak's spot. Medisport are now Stanislav, Plopsky, Fiku, 4C, and Male09.
Okay. I mean, obviously, I'm not a big fan of the way this looks, but at least it makes the most sense possible for Male09, the kind of player he is. So I'll give them a B. I'm still not sold.
Yep. I think for Metasport, it's a good move for Male09. He probably wished it was different, but everything I've heard, I talked to Monsterpipe, his dad, in an interview, which if you are Swedish, you can check out on Fragzor's YouTube channel. Both him and Liam were much more positively inclined to coming back to Metasport, which is great, because I thought there would be a huge amount of animosity. And he said that maybe 2 weeks earlier, yeah, there was a huge bit of animosity, but positive vibes in the Metasport camp and in the Male09 camp, so that's nice. Liquid have made the first of a hopeful 2 moves where they've cut Ultimate and they've signed Jorko.
Yeah, that's just an A. Like, it's not even that Jorko's guaranteed to be the best player in the world, but it just, you had to move on from Ultimate. There's no two ways about it.
Yep. Do you think they would have been better off if they signed Slend, as was reported they were considering?
I wouldn't guarantee it. Like, I think that's you feel more comfortable with it as far as like, oh, he's definitely exciting and he played against some decent competition, but talent-wise, you can't guarantee he's actually better than anyone. You know, better than Jorko especially, who's been very exciting. So yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yep, nice. NRG have signed Holzerk and cut OC in the process, and filling the bro-shaped hole on their team is now Georgie, who's been brought back.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Fair.
Just don't love it. I just don't know about NRG, man. They just kind of feel whatevery.
Yeah, I think the OC component is like he obviously he pads his numbers, but so is Holzer gonna do. But to be honest, also on the last iteration of the lineup, he was a 0.90, and this is a lineup that did play a frag event where he should have farmed a lot more than he probably did. So yeah, NRG had to do something. I like the Holzerk part of it. Holzerk over OC, I think, is fair. Georgie being brought back is a little bit... Yeah, maybe with a second chance. Now he knows that there aren't... it's like we talk about some other players. There are no greener pastures. He's been given a second lease on life. Johnny Speeds have benched everybody involved, I was going to say. But they benched Nock and Lekro and Freiberg, their coach. And they've signed back Hampus, and Draken has come back from the bench. And for the moment, it's Heap, Jokab, Draken, and Hampus. But I'll tell you, they are signed up for the Swedish ENC qualifier, which happens tomorrow, with a lineup missing Heap, and instead it has Youngster and Svedjehed. But don't grade that. Don't grade the additions they've made, because they obviously can't play with them, because they need to use 2 players that aren't on their lineup, so they can't sign those 2 now that they're playing with them. But Heap might be gone. So Draken, Hampus, Jokab.
Yeah, Draken. It's not bad. It's not actually that bad. I just, I need to see the... I don't really feel too strongly about it, because Draken's like... He's not a terrible player in Tier 2. It's just... I still feel like I should be hoping for teams to do better. Like, as in, be more exciting than what they are.
Yep.
So, yeah. Unsold.
I'm not super thrilled about the Hampus and Draken editions, but it could be fun depending on who they put in. Like, they don't exactly have a huge market of Swedish players or like slam dunks. So I think they'll have to take a chance on somebody like a Beasover or a Rack or a Dest, like the kind of players that I harp on about, or Wonder maybe. Like, and that's going to be fun because that's a real chance for them. So that's nice. I finally put my money where my mouth is, or Johnny Speeds are putting their money where my mouth is. Fnatic, we've already talked about their move quite a bit, but give it a final grade.
Yeah, A. Like, it's an identity, it's some talent. Give them an A.
Yeah. No grade for this one, because it's obviously an S. Like, the grade here is an S. The project was a great success. AM Gaming have sold their lineup to a new organization. We don't know which one. So this was the player agency Achieve Minds, who had a project where their free agents would get playtime by playing on a squad called AM, coached by Musambani. So Keto, Altex, Merix, and Miltzi, and Musambani, I assume, have been sold on to a different org. So yeah, for me, that gets an S grade because it's the project was successful.
Yeah, no, I have a hard time disagreeing with it being a success. Obviously, that's just the entire point, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, they found them a place to go. They played all right as a team. Not the craziest results, but hey, they got themselves signed. That's what matters. So good job, Achieve Minds. Great system, great idea.
Let's Click have benched Drenku, who was kind of their young player, 18 years old, like young future star kind of player. Didn't really work out. And Hades has also left, which means they're down to Prism and Demo, and their coach, crucially, their coach, Bogdan, favorite of mine, is also gone. So they're in a rebuild, and they were rumored to be getting Ultimate, Exist, Kloku, and Sparrow as the coach. So it's a tier 2 Polish lineup.
Yeah, it'll
it's
be a
P for
different Polish tier 2 lineup. It's so forgettable.
Yeah. So this is Kloku from Colossi and Exist, I think, also from Colossi. And then put Sparrow in as the coach and Ultimate as the opera. Let's hope he works this time. Great news. I found out that Regali actually does know how to smoke window on Mirage, contrary to previous reporting. Good job.
Awesome.
Yeah. Imperial have benched Levi, their opper. Wasn't doing crap on that team. Or he was doing crap. He was doing pretty horribly. I was doing pretty mid. And they've signed Sadzin, who's come in and played 7 maps to a 125 rating, silencing all of their critics in the Legacy camp.
Yeah, wow, what a move. I mean, it's kind of the thing, was like Sadzin, he's holding that team back. Probably needs to be upgraded. Then he goes down to a team where it's Imperial, that guy, Levi's holding the team back, or is he upgraded? It's just a very logical, very nice and smooth, just downgrading for the players, but upgrading for the teams.
Yeah, so Sadzin just came in, wrecked LP, this team that is supposedly signed by Loud, which is a pretty big organization, and then beat Bestia 2-0 in the final to win $10,000 in a Thunder Pick World Championship Series. So that's nice. Other operas on the move. Cybershock have signed Alcaran on loan from Heroic, on loan from Spirit Academy. In an interesting move. So he's there now instead of, well, was Phenomen's spot, but has been Fluffy's spot before, I think.
I don't remember.
Neither.
Yeah. Alcaran needs to go somewhere because he wasn't going to play on Heroic anytime soon, from what I understood. So good for him that he's gone down, found a team. Cybershock, I'm not sure this is that great a move, though. Honestly, what was wrong with Phenomen?
Visa issues, supposedly. I remember that was what they said. That was what they said. Phenomen has to take a step back to resolve a visa issue, which hinders him from playing with us.
It's genuinely hilarious.
And then they sign Alcaran. So supposedly he's fixed his issues. Supposedly Alcaran can now go into Europe.
It's just funny. That's just funny.
Yeah, very funny. Sorry, Alcaran, but good luck. Sangal have finalized the roster by signing Beanox. So it's now Adam S, Beanox, Puha, Radix, and Joey. Still coached by Jumpy.
I mean, Jumpy shout out one time, did an interview with the King's Court, but I'm not that thrilled by this roster.
Fair. None of them have played. Actually, oh shit, they've been signed for a month, and like none of them have played. Yeah, go play some games, and we'll see what you do. Marsborn have. Now we're in the trenches, but they've signed Nick X to fill a spot of some dude we are not going to mention. Freshie, Nick X, Grizz, OG Wizard, and Wumbo. And there's, I think, 3 players who are on HLTV's prospect list, and then Nick X and Freshie.
Yeah, I mean, he's played 3 maps for them, and he's a 123. What?
Goated.
What a G. Seriously though, he's he's gonna probably be the best player on this team very soon. Relative to Roll, I think. He's also got the most experience. Not that surprising. No, I mean it's a step down for him, but it's a huge upgrade for them.
Yep. You're right. Mouse NXT have finalized their roster with the players that were previously reported. It is French player ESX, which honestly just does read like ESX. That's just what it reads like, unfortunately. But yeah, and it is someone who I found out is Chinese-Polish named Mixer. Yeah. They're on the team now.
Yeah, I tried to do some research. Was not able to. Didn't put the most effort into it. I tried to download these guys' HLTV demos, ESXs, and I think Mixers as well, which is too old to run on my version of CS, so I just gave up. It was my lunch break. I didn't have all the time in the world to go digging for a billion different things. But yeah, ESX is AWPing. Hopefully he's pretty good. So far they've played a few series. It's not been great. But yeah, once they embed, once they get comfortable, hopefully things get better.
Yep. Not bad. And as of today, finally, I fell to my knees sobbing when I read this. Norup is no longer with Borup. He's gone from Masonic. One of Denmark's most fun players to watch has unfortunately retired from Counter-Strike.
One of the moves of all time has happened. In Danish CS, this will live on for many minutes.
We may never see, like, we cannot replace him. We cannot. So, yeah, Norup. Honestly, if you've never seen Norup, like, if you're watching this, you want to have a fun old time. Like, get a bag and box of wine and load up a Norup game. Because holy shit, he's fun. Like, on Nuke, just jumping around like a fucking maniac. Yeah.
Yeah.
End of an era.
Let's wrap up the show as we always do with our prospects of the week. I've picked an oldie but a goldie. Feels weird to say that about guys just turned 18, I think, or recently-ish. I've chosen Davu. shocker. Within a circle, they won the qualifier to be at, is it the next Blast event? I think it was. Yeah, it's for Blast Open Porto. So they're going to be in attendance with alongside the top 12 teams in the world, like, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, they beat out Gen 1, Magic, and then Virtus Pro made a surprise run to the grand final, upsetting NIP and Bait, which fucking those teams in the gutter right now. But in a circle, yeah, made that run happen. Davu was pretty strong throughout. Came to the end of the week with like a 1-something rating, 30 or 40, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. All that matters is Davu, very exciting Ukrainian young player. We talked about in a circle earlier. It's like the team that Fnatic want to aspire to match. He's the main reason why that's a tantalizing prospect, because he is one himself. So yeah, Davu, pretty easy pick for the week.
Yep, nice. I've gone for Nicodian because of the previous Mouse NXT exploits. They didn't play that well. He played really well. And at this point, he is doing that over and over and over and over again since joining this Mouse NXT side like a year ago. The one repeated shining star when they show up in events. It's not spotless. Like, he's got plenty of bad events, but they also play at a pretty low tier. And a lot of these are like they fly out to a LAN event where they really have no business being, but it's just good experience. And there he's obviously not stellar, but he's up to like 3 straight events where he's played really well now, and online events. And in this event, he was like the one good player on Mouse NXT. So, thumbs up. It's a very small prospect nod, but it is one nonetheless. Nice job.
Yeah, they played 3 series at it's Challenger League, I just checked. And he's the only one with a rating over a 0.9, not including ESX who's AWPing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And ESX is still sub 1.0, so he's succeeded despite the team struggling. And has not even done it with like crazy inefficient like opening numbers and things like that. He's opening and trading, but he's doing it just fairly well. It's just the rest of the round's not working. So yeah. Nicodian, shout out. Pretty good week. And that'll be the show. Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed, leave a like, sub for more content. Remember that membership's the best way to support the show. Our contributors who get access to their own podcast are Amnesiac, Romich, XL, and Dylan. I think there's another one, but I don't think they've joined the Discord, so I always forget them. But yeah, shout out to those people. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.